Alright, hey guys, and welcome. Today, I just want to quickly cover through some of the new characters that we've just received in Marvel Future Fight, and I also want to kind of make some predictions on the upcoming, the possibilities of the upcoming Epic Quest because we haven't had one in a while. And as for those who have completed the four Epic Quests, of course, the your goal would probably be to go ahead and try to get all of the how can I put it, kind of uber characters in the game, but they need not necessarily be premium because they are all just crystal unlocks. So as you can see, I do not have Strife, nor do I have Doctor Doom, but a lot of people probably would have worked on these characters as well if they have spent a lot of time or money in the game. Doctor Strange, of course, did not give us an Uber unlock, and it was the first Epic Quest, and they have improved a lot since then. But in terms of the expenditure, we also have kind of found a little bit more hiccups in the first Family Quest, where it requested materials that kind of didn't make sense. And what I mean by that is, for Rise of the X-Men, we had to use some black antimatter, and black antimatter was something that was definitely farmable at the time that the Wolverine quest was introduced, but we also needed a lot of Phoenix feathers, which was a very premium currency at that time, because we only had three missions in the game that gave it. We had these two, and then we had this one. If you did not buy the Magneto pack already, this was basically your only way of obtaining the one material that could unlock, X-Men to Tier 2. So it was kind of crazy in that sense. However, the X-Men missions did not require you to find any hidden route characters. You didn't have a character that had a chance of dropping. Every character in the game had a fixed, how can I put it, chance of getting 10 biometrics daily. So you could, no matter what, in the same amount of time, have all of these characters at 6 star, and then you could start eventually working on them to tier 2 if you wanted to get Phoenix. And then you didn't need all of them, you only needed 5, and one of them was already part of the package. And then the other one being a character that's part of the Uber package. So the other three are the only ones that you gotta be worried about from here. And after X-Men, we went to Deadpool, which I feel was the easiest epic quest by far, because for those of us who have already finished Sorcerer Supreme and the Wolverine quest, we had a lot of resources left when Deadpool came out. And well, basically, these gave us three, how can I put it, three missions each. So it was 6 missions in total, as compared to the 4 missions that the Phoenix quest gave last time. So in this pack, we basically had a lot more ways of obtaining Phoenix feathers, and therefore it was a lot more straightforward to complete. So the only kind of hiccup that you would face is basically ranking up Colossus, because Colossus was the only kind of drop chance character in the game, and you will have to get him by playing this stupid X-Men quest, and he is a dimension shifter. So, sorry, I mentioned hidden route previously, not hidden route, dimension shifter. Yeah. So it's really, really difficult to get Colossus X genes. And I'll be honest with you, my Colossus is not in tier 2 yet because I have not been having the best chance of dropping his biometrics. So that has been a problem for me. And I managed to get him up to 5 star, and then I use a 6 star rank up, a normal 6 star rank up, not the mega one, to get him to 6 star. But other than that, I've been stuck right there because I haven't spent much time farming him, because it's really painful to have to run through these quests and only see like one, biometrics a day. It's pointless getting 1 to 2, because you need to get like at least 20 to 30 before you want to have a crack at rolling his gear. So anyway, when we came to this quest, we saw the need for 6 characters, and out of these 6 characters, you have Cable, who was not part of the pack itself. So you have to get Cable by playing the world boss missions, which was kind of cool. to some extent, because now you needed to, I mean, they knew that Cable was out for pretty long, uh, but now you needed to find another way to get another character, which was nice. And then, of course, Deadpool's already part of the Epic Quest. But now we also had the hidden route, Dimension Shifter character, which was Colossus. And on top of that, we had to get Psylocke's premium package. So now we have a lot of hiccups as compared to the Wolverine quest. Let's just have a look at this, right? So we have nothing at all here, and then Wolverine came, and we had three characters that were easy to get, one character that came with a pack, which was okay. But over here now we have one character that comes with a pack. Am I right? Yeah, one character that comes with a pack, which was a Psylocke, and then we had to farm a Dimension Shifter, a ridiculous chance of getting, and then we had to get a World Boss character, which made this pack a lot more complicated uh, in order to get the Uber character. But Deadpool was pretty straightforward because you just needed a lot of Phoenix feathers, most of which you could have received from the previous Wolverine pack. But of course, you do need to have a certain amount of materials beforehand, which wasn't really the issue because most people who had to wait for Deadpool already had those. But then when the first family came out, it got really complex, even for me, considering I've been playing this game for a while, but it was really surprising to me that you needed a tier 2 of two characters that were already in the game, which was okay, but if you did not have them at tier 2 previously, now you need to find ways of making them tier 2, which was okay because these characters are not that difficult to get. One was a special mission character. You can also get her biometrics and other means. The other one was also a selector biometrics. You could also just get her through Shadowland, and you can also get her through Timeline, I believe, Timeline tokens or something. And then there's the Thing and Human Torch, which were given from this quest. Invisible Woman, who's from a pack, and then another ridiculous requirement of Victorious, which is also a dimension shifter. So now we can see that there are 7 characters that you have to get in order to get Doctor Doom. And then there's 6 here, and then Wolverine just had 5. So we're increasing to a point where the next pack would most likely, if not 7, could even have 8 characters. And don't be surprised, it could have 4 on the left, 4 on the right, and then the unlock in the middle. So today I'm going to give you my predictions for what I think could be future characters for the game, and then future characters for the pack itself. So right before I hop into that, I just want to give you the new characters that came out, but came out without a pack. So we got Namor and Wave that came out as the 2 new kind of water type characters, which is kind of cool, but they didn't really bring any new mechanics to the game. And what I mean by that is when we had fire and ice type characters like Human Torch, we had this fire damage. Fire damage is a unique damage to itself, and then they introduce things like burn damage, which makes sense. And then we had ice, I believe it's cold damage, yeah, from someone like Luna Snow, and it gives you freeze. So these are mechanics that are unique to these elements. So when Molten Man came out, Molten Man had something similar to that, and of course Hydro Man did not. So what would make water type characters unique is yet to be seen. We don't have anything that is water type specific. Like they could give I don't think drowning seems like a fair thing, but they could give pressure, like high pressure or something that affects your speed, slows you down, something like that. So it at least would change the way this element is seen, because we don't know what this water element does just yet. And other than that, Namor just seems to be a very high stat character, and that's pretty much what we can see from him. Silver Surfer was the only unique one out of the 2, and he was the only one that had a mechanic, which I believe, wait 1 second, yeah, a mechanic that was different from the other 2, which of course was the kind of counter attack mechanic. But this mechanic was something that we kind of already had in the game. It's just that it's interesting that he has it together with an ignore targeting ability. So it is possible that when an enemy goes into an iframe to perform an attack, he's always going to perform this to counter it. Because there's no other attack that he can do to ignore targeting. So it seems that even though he will be controlled by an AI for cases like conquest or alliance tournament, it is very possible that the moment the enemy goes into an iframe to perform an attack, he is going to automatically trigger Aura of Radiance to counter it. And it could be quite scary what Silver Surfer is capable of. And he's just tier 2. He could be going up against tier 3 characters like Thanos and Jean and absolutely shredding them if this ability works the way it's intended. So it's pretty crazy what Silver Surfer is capable of by the books. But of course, we will see it pretty soon, I guess. Maybe in 2 to 3 weeks, maybe in a month. And I'm happy if he's not an instant unlock. You know what I mean? It's like I'm happy if players have to actually play the game for maybe a month to get him, which is fine because at least it's absolutely free. But the only issue now being the fact that there's no guarantee in dropping his biometrics for more than one per time. So unless you can clear World Boss Ultimate, unless you can clear Giant Boss Raid 10 times a day, then it's unlikely you'll be seeing him very soon. So if, let's just say, a player has an average of 5 characters that they use to clear giant boss raid, so they can maybe get a minimum of 1 biometrics each time, so they'll get 5 a day. And I believe they increased the requirement to get his bios from 10 to 20. Yeah, so you will need to clear him for 4 weeks, which is a month. And if you are a player that can clear GBR 10 times a day, you can do it in 2 weeks. So it's going to take about 2 weeks for everyone else, and probably 4 to 5 to 6 weeks for me, because I do not have 5 characters that could do GBR. I probably have like 4 as of the moment. So yeah. But anyway, it's kind of a once a week thing, which I'm not really happy about. I wouldn't mind it being a daily, with at least 1 biometrics a day, which seems okay for me. In 20 days, everyone gets to unlock. Silver Surfer seems kind of okay. It's not so bad. But anyway, he seems to be up there as a high tier PvP choice on paper, but we will only see what really happens when he goes into play in a month's time. So anyway, these are the new characters that we got. Nothing really special about these two. Silver Surfer is the only seems to be what could possibly be meta, but no one knows just yet. So let me just proceed to my predictions for the upcoming characters. So first off, we have certain characters that could have been introduced previously, but have not been introduced yet. And one of them is the Silver Samurai, as you know, those Marvel fans, or even those how can I put it, movie fans of those of you who watched the Wolverine would know that Silver Samurai is commonly known as an enemy to the Wolverine. So he's cool in a sense where in the movie there was kind of misleading information. Kenichio was an entirely different character, and then the Silver Samurai was an entirely different character. And in the comics, the Silver Samurai actually has the ability to create tachyon fields, which is something from within his body. However, we did not get to see this in the movie per se. So this is one character that I really would like to see. He's pretty cool. He has a lot of fighting skills, and he might be cool to see in terms of the kind of close combat mechanics, especially considering Shang-Chi will be coming up with the movie and all. It'll be nice to see some of these combat characters get a boost, and Silver Samurai be introduced as a new combat character to kind of breathe new life into everything that has been going on. And combat characters have good mechanics. It's just that their stats cannot seem to keep up with the blast meta, which is the unfortunate thing. And then we have Beta Ray Bill, also a famous Marvel character. has to come out together with the Thor universe. So I'm just hoping that he comes out pretty soon. In any other way, I wouldn't mind him being some kind of new story, maybe chapter 14 of the story missions or something, and he just comes out randomly. I'm be absolutely happy with that. At least I'll know his fumble, and I mean, he's just a fan favorite, I guess. So it'll be good to have him just filling in the gaps of, kind of additional characters in the future. Then I also like to see Hercules, and Hercules will also be a pretty strong character. Also seems to be a combat class like Silver Samurai, I think, and he would be pretty strong by the meta he is in the Marvel universe. I hope that in future fight he is pretty disastrous in terms of his strength, but he should be raw physical attack, and his mechanics could probably be like all defense down, invincibility, being a god, being someone who's proficient in fighting, kind of raw combat strength, pure ability, and just maybe his ultimate ability would allow him to channel some of Zeus's power to do some kind of lightning or shock damage. So that'll be pretty cool. And then we have some characters left off from the Spider-Verse. Now, of course, there are some other villains like I believe the ones we saw from Into the Spider-Verse, which we didn't really get to see yet. So there are a lot of Spider-Verse characters like Penny Parker, Peter Parker, the Spider-Man Noir, um which would be pretty cool to be added. But what I really want to see is Toxin, because Toxin is the only one from the symbiotes that are currently missing. There are a few other different kinds of symbiotes, but Toxin is pretty famous in terms of being closely allied with Carnage and Venom. So it'll be nice to have Toxin. But first of all, they'll definitely have to rework Carnage, because Carnage in the game is absolutely trash right now. Where is Carnage? Let's see. Yeah, this thing is absolutely trash right now. He needs a uniform, he needs a rework, and hopefully someday he will be able to join his friend Toxin as part of a new meta of combat characters. Then we have Scorpion. Scorpion will also be something that we are missing out from the Spider-Verse, I would say, and he is one of the boys, so-called, who is not really part of the team yet. But I really want to see Scorpion, and instead of making him combat, they could still make him blast. They could make him the futuristic Scorpion that uses, a suit to fight and have a lot of unique blast mechanics involved. He could even be a speed character that uses blast and energy and physical attacks to perform his abilities with a lot of poison damage, right? Like ridiculous amounts of poison damage to actually make you not feel so upset about that poison damage roll on your cards. Now, I'm just kidding, hopefully not, but still, poison damage would be something to be afraid of if Scorpion were to join the game. Then we have Taskmaster that I really would like to see. I'm really hoping that we get to see, now that we have a lot of these counter attack abilities showing up in the game, like Silver Surfer's counter, and I believe there's one more counter ability on Wolverine's uniform, which is this one, Counter Slash. So something like this ability, and Silver Surfer's new ability, I believe Taskmaster should have like at least one really powerful counter ability that kind of amps up the way the rest of his abilities work. He could be the first kind of neutral class in the game. Like he could be, by default universal or something, and then he increases damage based on the type of opponent he has. Because he always finds the counter ability, he knows how to copy their abilities, so he knows how to counter them, and just something, a unique mechanic like that. Another one missing from the Spider-Verse is also Jessica Drew. Uh, Taskmaster is actually Spider-Man's villain, by the way, in case I forgot to mention it. But yeah, he has turned out to be Spider-Man's villain in some of the comics, but he need not necessarily be a Spider-Verse character. He comes around and goes. But yeah, Jessica Drew is someone that we're also missing from the Spider-Verse. So here she is. And Jessica Drew is another one of those pretty powerful spider characters. She has a lot of things that none of the other spiders can do. But the Spider-Verse as a whole right now is kind of weak. Everything is being led by Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099. Silk and Miles is just like, just behind there, and then Spider-Gwen is doing absolutely nothing right now in the meta. But I hope that maybe with Jessica Drew's introduction, the rest of them get kind of a bump, maybe a uniform boost or something. Then we get to see some of her awesome Venom blasts, which is something that Jessica Drew was kind of known for, being Spider-Woman. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Now I want to move to the rest of the X-Men. The rest of the X-Men that we didn't really get to see yet. So I'm hoping that the next Epic Quest would possibly be another X-Men Epic Quest. It doesn't have to be that, of course, it could be anything else, but it would be pretty cool if it was the rest of the X-Men with the introduction of Gabriel Summers, which is a Vulcan. Scott's, I believe he's the oldest brother, but it's more than often known that he's the unborn child. And then there is Havoc. Havoc is also Scott's brother, is Alexander Summers. Uh, who's also a pretty formidable character. And after these two, the next one that I would like to see is Mr. Sinister. So we get a lot of epic quests that are mostly heroes, right? And what I mean by that is if we have a look at these epic quests, we notice that this is a hero's quest, a hero's quest, a hero's, and a hero's. The only unique thing about the X-Force in the first family is that the Uber unlock was a villain. Strife is a villain, and then Doctor Doom is a villain. But wouldn't it be cool if we had all villains and then a hero unlock as for the next one? So my idea is to have Mr. Sinister, who is kind of someone who used to work for Apocalypse, I believe, which would allow us to give Apocalypse maybe a new uniform to kind of bump Apocalypse up in the combat class, and then introduce Mr. Sinister, and then they could also introduce Viper, someone we are missing from the X-Men universe. They could also introduce someone like Blob. I know Blob is not really, the most favorable character, but he's kind of cool. If you guys watch the X-Men animated series or read the comics, Blob is reasonably there in the middle of nowhere, but it'll be pretty cool to introduce him to the game. And of course, if Blob comes, we gotta get his friend Avalanche. There's also a few others, I believe, that fall into this category. But yeah, these are kind of the X-Men villains that we did not really get yet. There's also Pyro, another villain who we did not get to see. So it'll be cool if we get these 4 to 5 villains all together. We could also get Lady Deathstrike, which would be pretty awesome to have as another villain. Adamantium claws and whatsoever, Weapon X, all these kinds of interesting stuff. Then of course we gotta have Sebastian Shaw as the kind of epic quest character himself, because he's really powerful in the comics. So it'll be pretty nice to have him as the epic quest character, and if not him, who other than Raven. So he could be the Uber unlock of the game. Like you gotta get the Sebastian Shaw pack or something, and then you get to have Raven as the epic quest character. And I believe Mystique would be really interesting to see in the game, because she may have a unique mechanic where she has a passive that allows her to transform into the enemy, have all of their abilities and more. And what I mean by this is maybe she gets to copy their the third skill and the fourth skill is second and the first, but maybe her fifth skill is always something unique where she finds like some other mechanic to use to counter them, something like that. It could also seem that after she transforms the first time, she stays in that state for a while before she can transform again. So let's say you're in a PvP situation and Mystique copies Iron Man and Iron Man dies, and then Captain comes out. Now she's gonna be Iron Man when she fights Captain. And this could be interesting because she could be able to counter the opponent, but she could also have a weakness to, let's say, the opponent turns out to be Spider-Man instead, so you may have to switch Mystique out because she's weak against that type, and she may remain in that Iron Man form for a few seconds until she comes back in and her passive re-triggers so that she can turn back So yeah, Mystique will be a really interesting character. She's pretty famous and she'll be pretty cool to see. She doesn't have to be OP in any sense, which is why I feel that Sebastian Shaw should be the like the what the pack should be all about. And I wouldn't mind if Raven was the kind of how can I put it, the pack, the premium pack to unlock. So you gotta purchase Raven's pack, and then Sebastian Shaw is the character, the kind of main character of the epic quest. And then I know you're wondering who the Uber unlock is. The Uber unlock, I feel the hero should be Charles Xavier, and not the one that's on the wheelchair, which would be pretty cool if they had the kind of a wheelchair fight simulation. But I would like to see the Charles Xavier that can still walk, or rather, maybe he uses a suit to kind of give him the ability to walk, and or maybe he's in the wheelchair the entire time, and the entire fight just takes place in your mind. Like when you defeat him, you see an image of him on the wheelchair appear and fall down. So it means that he was on the wheelchair the entire time, but he was just fighting you using his mental or psychic abilities, which will be pretty cool to see. But nonetheless, I feel that he should be the uber character of that pack because Professor X is ridiculously powerful. If you have a brain, you're automatically weak to him. So characters like maybe Sentinel would have more value. Characters like what is this, Destroyer may have more value against Professor X, but other than that, I see everyone else getting absolutely destroyed by Professor X. He could have a ridiculously high resistance to mind damage, and he will deal a lot of mind damage. He could even have mind damage decrease, or rather mind defense mind damage defense decrease. I hopefully said that right. But yeah, that's, you could have something really cool like that to be part of the main character in the pack. So yeah, it would be pretty cool to see these characters. Professor X as the final unlock, Sebastian Shaw as the epic quest character, Raven as the kind of crystal unlock character, and then the rest of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 characters to be part of the pack itself, to kind of be the new epic quest pack, because previously in the Fantastic Four we had 7, so we're gonna have 8 here, and I hope that my idea, gets out there. But I really hope that even if I'm wrong, someone else is right and they do read someone else's ideas on this. And if not for this X-Men pack, I guess at least we will get to see, hopefully we'll get to see someone like Silver Samurai, Beta Ray Bay, Hercules, Toxin, Scorpion, Taskmaster, and someone I really liked, Jessica Drew, who is missing from the Spider-Verse. So yeah, these are my thoughts and comments. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think that there are characters that are way cooler than these that I may have missed out. I mean, I do know that there are a lot of other characters that are not really famous, like X-Men Spike. There are a lot of mutants, of course, that we could keep on filling in. Unfortunately, the Inhumans are already quite miserable. Otherwise, it'd be cool if they got a pack for themselves. They still have a lot of Inhuman villains that they could introduce, but I guess they are pretty much a done deal. So I hope that this is the kind of epic quest that we get in the future, because we are kind of lacking a new kind of, how can I put it, game mode, or new content, which is what we are actually lacking in the game. So I really hope the state of the game kind of improves, because the content that we're getting right now is just more and more RNG, as everyone is going to be dwelling into giant boss raid, never getting a CTP, and just going to get type enhancement kits. And once Silver Surfer is unlocked, what's next? They're going to introduce another GBR with another, like ridiculously hard to get character, and then we're going to farm for another 1 month. Because it seems that they have no other way to keep players in the game. Ever since I knew that they're gonna have this, I believe it's a login event for the 80-year anniversary. I'm not sure where it is. I don't think it's written here, but it's on the Netmarble's forum, so you guys can check it out there. There is going to be an unlock, sorry, not unlock, a daily login for the 80-year anniversary, and the login is going to give you a CTP, and I think it's going to give you an Odin's Blessing, and I believe they are both random, which is really bad, because that means that the content of endgame, like CTP And I mean the game's end game, not the movie end game. So like CDPs and Odin's Blessing, these things are literally kind of for the whales, and anyone who's not a whale is going to get left behind in the game. And as I'm still struggling to get my tier 3 gene, I think it's kind of proven that it's going to take everyone else a really long time in the game to do anything. And I'm just worried that new players are going to get overwhelmed and they're just going to leave the game, and or they're just going to be spending so much money, like ridiculous amounts of money, and the game developers are just going to be like, well, as long as we're getting money, I guess we'll be fine. We don't need to, like, bother so much. And everyone's just going to keep spending money and keep destroying the state of the game, because as long as we have characters that are trash, it means that they don't care enough for these amazing Marvel characters. And I mean, I just wish they kind of worked on it. So that's about it from me. See you guys next time. Adios.